So good day everyone. So this is the continuation sa report ni Island sa kanito. So as we continue, we're going to discuss the teaching strategies and how to effectively teach the uh, uh, artistic processes in visual art. So first strategy is think aloud, which is din niya kay i-guide the teacher ang estudyante kung paunsa og asa padulong ang artwork sa bata. So i-share the teacher ang iyang thoughts og out loud while creating an artwork. So for example, since we're talking about teaching artistic skills in visual art elementary grade, so specifically in primary grade, grade 1. So for example, kanang magpa drawing ka o bulak. So, imo yung i-indicate that this is the petals, this is the leaves, this is the stem, or this is the flower base. Ayun, imo sang i-indicate yung unsa ni nga color, o unsa ni siyang usay color sa petals, usay color sa leaves, sa stem, o sa flower base. So, in that way, kanang makasabot ang mga bata. So, second is the visualization. So, visualization is very important kay pinagi sa imong pag-visualize sa mga bata, naka-activate sila og imagination. So, pag naka-activate na sila og imagination, nananay naka-draw nga picture sa ilang mind. So, when that happen, dali na lang ma-translate ang dali na lang na ma-translate into artwork. So, third is modeling. So, modeling means demonstrating or showing student exactly how to perform a skills. So, ang mahitabo kasi si teacher ang mag-perform while ga-observe si learner. So, for example, imong i-guide ang mga estudyante kung paunsa mag-cut, unsaon pag properly cut sa paper using scissors, unsaon pag mix sa duha ka color para mapalugwa ni nga color, yan naman, unsaon pag uh, sakto sa paggunit sa paintbrush. Then next is the guided exploration. So, kung ganiha sa modeling kay si teacher ang mag-perform while ga-observe si learner, ang sa guided exploration kay opposite siya. Kung baga si learner ang mag-perform while naa ang guidance ni teacher. Next is the lesson plan on how to teach artistic skills in visual arts. So this lesson plan is a traditional lesson plan. So first sa iyang template kay ang approach. So sa approach, whether mo whether ang imong ang gamiton nga approach is student learner-centered or interactive approach. Dayon sa topic, ikaw maghimog topic nga based sa content standard, performance standard, of learning competencies nga provided na siya sa curriculum guide. The next is the grade level, whether it is grade 1, grade 2, or grade 3. Then naman, the learning competencies. So, sa una, so sa kabantay mo katong sa atong tier S, di ba, katong nga, ang learning competencies nga atong gigamit ito is based lang yun siya sa curriculum guide. Dayon ang activities is maghimo kag activities. So ang imo nga activities is based po siya sa imong topic o sa learning competencies nga provided sa curriculum guide. Dayon next is assessment. Sa imong assessment is uh, whether exam ba ka or activity, tapos kung magamit kag activity nga assessment, ang dili ka malimot nga mo himo og rubrics for your own kay para dili ka magpataka og kanang grade para na kay basihan for transparency and accuracy sa imong pag-grade sa imong mga estudyante. The next is sa C, sa instructional strategies in teaching visual arts. So sa C, na creative process, developing creativity. So kung ganyan sa artistic process, takaroon sa creative process na punta nga side sa instructional strategies in teaching visual art. So this is our learning objectives, which is our learning outcomes. First is distinguish between the creative process and artistic process. Second is model ways and how to promote creativity in the classroom. Third is devise an outline of a lesson plan that promotes students' creativity. So, according to Edward de Bono, siya quote na creativity involves breaking out of expected pattern in order to look at things in different way. So, kini siya nga quote na reminds no nga being creativity is not just about being artistic, but it is also how to look things in different way. Kaya di ba, usahay ka nang ma-misinterpret na to nga, makaingon ta nga, ah, creative siya tungod kay naka-drawing siya inani klase nga artwork, creative siya tungod kay nakasulat siya inani kataas nga essay. But we should all understand that creativity is anywhere, anytime, and everywhere. So, kanang it is depend kung kung sa natin i-view sa kabutang. As long as we're open-minded, kanang we are creative on our own. Next is origination or sa think, origination, creativity, and ideation. So creativity is using one's imagination to combine two ideas to make a new one. Original means something that is new and has been done before. So creativity in children does not emerge from a vacuum, rather art skills and competence developed from the nurturing environment that provides opportunity from them to learn about art in different way. So when we say creativity, it is somehow related to originality or imong kaugalingong binuhat. Wala pa siya na wala pa siya na anaa before karon pa lang tungod kay naka-idea ka about ani nga butang. So that is creativity or originality. So when we say ideation, it is a process of generating new ideas. So in a classroom or sa mga estudyante, mahitabo ko no ang creativity radiation kung ang isa ka estudyante or isa ka learner ka ma-expose sa usa ka environment. Like for example, na isa ka estudyante dili siya kablong basa, pero tungod kay gipa ka-eskwela siya, gi-expose siya sa environment nga babasahon siya after 1 week, 1 month, or even a year, hasa na siya sa pag-study. So that is the essence of creativity and ideation. So next is, as you can see in this picture, so this is the exercise on practicing creativity, Dadal Basic, drawing from numbers, online art workshop by teacher Precious. So as you can see, dili nato malimitahan ang pagka-creativity sa usa ka bata. So our goal as a teacher kay dili nato sila i-judge kanang uh, every ilang every uh, creative processes nga mahimo sa usa ka estudyante dapat i-appreciate nato sila. I-appreciate sa teachers. I-appreciate sa teachers. So as you can see in this picture, diba, this is the exercise of creativity. So from numbers na mo siya o kanang random nga mga animals. So this is how to practice creativity. This is how to practice and exercise creativity. Next is, so found object doodle art. In this art activity, students are encouraged to choose any object found at home, then incorporate in a doodle. So pencil and cup as sword and shield center, using pen as a body for the jet plane. Using pencil shaving for hair, teacher can assign a theme based on the lesson and let students to choose any found object and turn it into something else. So this exercise fosters creativity by letting students to think outside the box and come up with original ideas. So keep in mind that teachers should also encourage students to persevere and respect each other's ideas. When students get ridiculed or judged because of his or her original idea, this might affect his or her confidence and thus exhibiting his or her creativity. It is a job of the art teacher to ensure that the art class is conducive to creativity by fostering respect and welcoming emerging ideas. So on this side, we can see an example of creativity. So this activity encouraged students to use ordinary objects found at home and turn them into a creative artwork. So instead of using this object in their usual way, students imagine them as something different. So for example, a pencil becomes a sword, a bottle cap becomes shield, a pen becomes the body or a jet, airplane, and pencil shading become a person's hair. So this activity develops imagination, creativity, critical thinking, because students learn to use different possibilities in every object. So as future teacher, we should encourage every student's unique ideas and create a classroom where everyone's feel confident to express their creativity through without fear of being judged. So this is the three things uh, indicating the importance of creativity. So first is human resource. So creativity is a unique human skills. Creativity is irreplaceable by AI and vital in fast-changing world. So ang creativity is human resource siya kaya dili siya ma-replaceable by AI. Create human resource siya. It is also because kanang product sa imagination o experiences sa tao nga wala dili niyo makita sa AI. Next is problem solving. So creative people can think of new ideas and effective solutions whether they face challenges. Then lastly, early development. So when creativity is developed at an early age through art and other activities, children become more imaginative, confident, and capable of creating original ideas. So next is the distinction between creative process and versus artistic process. So when we say creative process, kung ingon ako ganyan kanang it is somehow related to originality. So imuhang kaugaling hinimo nga walay reference. While ang artistic process, people can be artistic using their skills and techniques by by strictly following instruction or by copying uh, another design. So muna siyang artistic process. Kumbaga, if mo follow lang kag instruction or mo copy ra ka og idea sa uban, you can be mo copy ra kag idea sa uban nga gamitan sab nimo og imong idea. So you can be an artistic. So tanang creative people kay artistic pero dili tanang artistic kay creative. Wait something. So this is the stages of creative process. So first is so this is the stages of creative process based on Wallace 1926, Botalia 2018, and Salders Smith 2015. So first is preparation or proving. So during a stage, ang artist kay mag-discover siya og problem, mag-identify siya og topic o mag-find siya og something nga maka-spark sa curiosity o interest. So before ang artist mag-create og artwork, una jud kay mag-gather siya og information, mag-observe og different things and collect ideas nga mahimo niya later or ma-use niya later. So diri nga part siguro ang mahimo sa teacher kay magpakita siya og mga video showing video clips of other artists, then exposing outdoor trips, museum tours, nature trips, science experiments, watching educational movies, and asking life experiences, anomalies, milestone, random happening, and etc. So, para ni siya ma-motivate, ma-inspire ang mga bata kung sa nga themes ang ilang himuon silang artwork. The next is incubation. The subconscious involuntary thinking, letting the mind rest and soak in the idea while being distracted to other things. So during this stage, the artist temporarily step away from the project and allow the mind to rest. So instead of forcing ideas, they may do other activities like playing games, reading, or storytelling while the brain continues to process subconsciously. So there is a incubation nga stage. There is the need for you to rest your mind para makahuna-una ka og unsa nga idea, unsa nga idea nga masupport sa imuang nga masupport ato ang imuhang na gathering information kaniya sa preparation. So the next stage is the illumination. So the aha moment where the idea moves to the conscious thinking, an instant flash that cannot be forced. So sa mga stage, so when a creative idea suddenly becomes clear, so it happened naturally and cannot be forced. So kumbaga, ang incubation o illumination kanang mas kinahanglan naanas lang duha para makasuporta sa katong imong preparation nga gihimo ganiha. So it is very important nga i-rest nimo imong mind, dili nimo hunaon ang imong mga problema kay ang ato ang brain mag-process rin na siya subconsciously. Then the next is verification and evaluation. So choosing the idea, so sa verification and evaluation or the planning stage. So choosing the idea, this is where the divergent and convergent thinking comes into play. So trying out what work and what does not, and figuring out if the idea is valid or not. So there is a verification. So nakadraw na ka og idea na nakay background o kung sa imuhang himuon nga art. So there is a verification evaluation. Una, i-evaluate sa nimo kung unsa ang imuhang materials nga kinahanglanon o techniques nga gamiton. Then human i-verify nimo siya, verification sa imo bang amiga or classmates para mo support ato nga kuan nga mga idea nga imong gi-prepare ganihan. So finally, we have the synthesis or creation. So putting the idea into concrete artistic output. So we have synthetics or creation. So or also called the production stage. So this is where the artist finally creates the artwork and turn the plan into turn the plan idea into a finished piece. So it is possible nga ma-perfect nimo ang imong art tugod kay you have a idea tapos proper planning and proper planning. So next is Banawi Resources 2016 by Jeremy. Then Jeremy is 10 years old, acrylic on canvas, the small paper on the table with his initial studies instead of drawing the typical landscape. He thought of rice terraces as rainbow colored with house on the top. So he chose to paint the rice terraces because he used to live in Ifugao Mountain Province. Adaptations were made by tilting the canvas so that he can reach the areas for sketching while on a wheelchair. So before painting, Jeremy first made small sketches or initial studies. This is show that he carefully planned his work before creating the final artwork. So so while creating an artwork, so it is also important to look for the to look or study the to study your taste, like drawing the famous places. So it is very important nga nakay background knowledge ana para mas dali or mas makomprehend nimo ug sa imo ginahimo. So instead of painting the usual appearance of the Banawi residences, he imagined them in a rainbow color with houses on the top, making his artwork unique and creative. So his inspiration also comes from personal experience because he once lived in Ifugao, where the Banawi rice terraces are located. So it is also important na kung mag-drawing ka or maghimo kag artwork kanang nakabase sa imong life experiences. So another important lesson from this example is that creativity has no limits. So since Jeremy uses a wheelchair, the canvas was adjusted by tilting it so he could comfortably reach every part while painting. This shows that with creativity, determination, and right support, anyone can create meaningful and beautiful works. So next is how to promote creativity in classroom. So many people think that creativity is inborn siya or it is our innate nature and innate talent, but in reality, manurture siya through positive learning environment. So as a teacher, kanang should provide, it is our role na mag-provide of learning environment which is conducive and positive. So we should give our students an opportunity na mag-ask of questions sa tuwa, mo share sa ilang ideas. So para inanang apamagi makaingon ang mga atong estudyante nga valid dili akong mga ideas, valid dili akong mga answer kay na-appreciate ni sir, na-appreciate ni ma'am. So that is a positive and conducive learning environment to promote creativity in the classroom. Makita sad nato nga ang creativity on the other hand is a process of exploring and experimenting. So we have our own views, we have our own perspective. So nagdepende ra gyud na nato kung saan nato makita sa pabutang. So as long as atong estudyante kay explore, kay experiment, we should support them. So we are now on the letter D. So in this chapter, we will discuss the contextualization, the adaptation, classroom management, and art education. So the learning outcomes of these lessons are first, modify activities based on available resources and themes relevant to students. Second is identify adaptive goals and activities for inclusion. Then analyze strategies that can be helpful in managing the art room. So by the end of this lesson, we should understand how to make art activities meaningful, inclusive, and organized for all learners. So according to Fred Emery, instead of adapting to change, why not change to be adapted? So this quote now it reminds us that being adaptive means more than simply accepting change. So it means being flexible and willing to adjust our teaching methods to meet the needs of our students. So in art education, every classroom is different. So we should all understand that every classroom is different, kay diverse ang learner, and of course, especially here in the Philippines, kay limited ang atuang resources. So as teacher, we should be creative in finding solution and making the best use of what is available. So being adapted allow us to provide meaningful learning experiences despite different challenges. So contextualization in art education too. So the importance of contextualization in art education. So we will learn about the importance of contextualization in art education. So contextualization means adapting lesson to the students' real life experiences, interests, and the resources available in the community. So first, the core concept. So art is not only about creating beautiful painting, it also helps elementary students develop important skills such as creativity, resourcefulness, critical thinking, and self-expression. So however, many people think that art only involves expensive materials like canvas and oil paint. So in reality, art can be created using simple and everyday materials. So second, the reality in classrooms. So many schools have limited budget and all of our students can afford art supplies. So because of this, some teachers find it difficult to conduct art activities. So these challenges should not stop students from learning and enjoying art. Third is the solution, which is contextualization. So teachers should modify activities based on the materials that are available. So for example, instead of buying expensive art supplies, students can use recycled paper, cardboard, leaves, sticks, bottles, or other materials found in the local community. So this makes art lesson more practical and accessible for everyone. So fourth is inspiration for indigenous practices. So indigenous community are a good example of creativity because they use natural materials from their surroundings, so such as wood, clay, bamboo, and natural dyes to create artworks. So teachers can apply the same idea by encouraging students to use local materials in their projects. So lastly, the educational benefits. So when arts lessons are connected to students' daily lives and experiences, they become easier to understand and more meaningful. So students become more engaged, creative, and confident because they can relate what they learn to their own environments. So next is, so as you can see in this picture, it shows a Diwata doll made from found objects such as twigs, dry leaves, and other natural materials. So it was created during the quarantine in 2020 when many teachers and students had limited access to art supply. So this example teaches us to so this example teaches us that creativity is not dependent in expensive materials. So instead, artists can use the resources that are already available around them. So as future teacher should encourage our students to look at ordinary objects in a creative way. So through this, they learn to become resourceful, imaginative, and environmental responsible. So the message of this artwork is that beautiful and meaningful art can be created using simple materials found at home and in our community. Second is the students paint on a rock which is readily available in the community instead of art canvas, and it is artwork by Pearl. So this is a good example of contextualization because the activity uses material that are easy to find. So it proves that students do not need expensive art supplies to express their creativity. So as teachers, we should encourage learners to use local and recycled materials whenever possible. So this makes art education more inclusive, accessible, and enjoyable for everyone. Next is, so these pictures presents different artwork made by recycled and everyday materials, so such as tissue paper roll, cardboard, and used containers. So students were able to create puppets, lanterns, pen holders, and other useful projects. So this activity shows that recycling can be a form of creativity. So aside from developing artistic skills, students also learn the importance of reusing materials and protecting the environment. So this project can even be integrated into other subjects. So for example, puppets can be used for storytelling or role playing, while lanterns can be connected to cultural celebration. Overall, these activities make learning more meaningful, creative, and fun while promoting environmental awareness. Next is adapting tools and activities, or how to adapt tools and activities in a creative way. So adapting tools and activities in art education. So as future teachers, our goal is to ensure that every learner, whether they have special needs or not, can actively participate in the class. So some students may have physical, mental, behavioral, or social emotional challenges. For example, children with autism may find it difficult to communicate verbally, but through art, they can express their thoughts, feelings, and creativity. This is why art is considered an inclusive subject. So as you can see in the picture or in the slide, so this slide shows a students creating artwork by painting on a rock instead of using traditional canvas. So since rocks are readily available in your community, they became an affordable and practical alternative. So this is also a good example of contextualization because the activity uses materials that are easy to find. So it proves that students do not need expensive art supplies to express their creativity. So as teachers, we should encourage learners to use local and recycled materials whenever possible. So this makes art education more inclusive, accessible, and enjoyable for everyone. So next slides is presents the different artwork made by recycled and everyday materials. So such as tissue, paper roll, cardboard, and use of containers. So students were able to create puppets, lantern, pen holders, and other resolved projects. So this activity also shows that creativity, recycling can also be a form of creativity. So aside from developing artistic skills, students also learn the importance of reusing materials and protecting the environment. So this project can even be integrated into other subjects, for example. So puppets can be used for storytelling and role playing. So while lantern can be connected to cultural celebrations, overall, these activities make learning more meaningful, creative, and fun while promoting environmental awareness. So next slides, we will discuss adapting tools and activities in art education. So as future teacher, our goal is to ensure that every learner, whether they have special needs or not, they can actively participate in class. So some students may have physical, mental, behavioral, or social emotional challenges. For example, children with autism may find it difficult to communicate verbally. So but through art, they can express their thought, feelings, and creativity. So this is why art is considered an inclusive subject. So as teacher, we should be flexible, patient, and willing to adjust our activities so that all students feel included. By making art accessible to everyone, we help every child experience success and enjoyment in learning. The next slide also shows an example of adaptive tools that help students who have difficulty holding or controlling writing and drawing materials. So for instance, a tissue rule can make pencil easier to grip for students with weak hands. Weighted pencil provide better control and stability. So a sponge grip helps children with small hands hold a pencil comfortably. So paper clips with rubber hand can encourage the correct tripods grip while attaching a pen to the wrist with a lace helps students avoid dropping it. So these adaptations are simple, affordable, and can even be made using everyday materials. They allow students with different abilities to participate confidently in art activities. So next slides are the planning inclusive art activities. So this slide or this portion explains how teachers should plan inclusive art activities. So planning should involve collaboration with a student's advisor or a special education teacher to better understand each learner's need. So kumaga dili lang ikaw mismo dili lang kanang imong kaugalingon ang imong idea, dapat i-consider sa nimong uban needs of nimo ang tabang sa uban. So teachers can also observe students or refer to individualized education plan or IEP. So to know what adaptations are needed. So at the beginning of the school year, simply art tasks can be given to assess basic skills such as holding a pencil, using scissors safely, and following instruction. So since art has no single right or wrong answer, it is easier to adapt activities for different learners with proper planning and observation. So, well, we can create an art classroom where average students feel accepted, capable, and successful. So, as teacher, kay di yun na to i-judge ang every artwork sa mga students. Kay art, parang wala dyan perfect na art, wala wrong, wala right. We should adapt the different adapt the different uh, way o saan pag-draw sa mga learner kay musab na ang ilang idea o creativity and imagination. So we should provide them an inclusive and positive learning environment where they can feel safe, accepted, and willing to adapt in this fast changing world. So now we can see different adaptation in teaching painting for students with motor challenges. So such as those with cerebral palsy, the main idea is that average student can participate in art if teacher makes simple adjustment. So even though ang mga challenges ang mga students, uh, we as teachers, we have to adjust in order to cater their needs. So for example, using a half-filled water container with an inverted lip helps prevent spills. So instead of paintbrush, students can use a sponge because it is easier to hold and control. So some learners are more comfortable working on the floor because it provides better support and stability. So while others perform better standing up. So this reminds us that every child has different strengths and needs. As teacher, we should observe our students to choose the strategies that they help them learn best. So inclusion means adapting the activity, not expecting every student to do it in the same way. So every student can adjust their capability. All we have to do is to cater and serve kanang unsa man ang ato ang ma-serve sa ila aron maka ano aron mahimo jud nila ang ilang best. The next is differentiation and modification. So differentiation means adjusting our lesson based on abilities and needs of our student. Instead of giving everyone the exact same task, we provide different levels of activities while keeping the same learning objective. So dili magdudtanan nga estudyante nga pareha og capability. So uban slow learner na uban fast learners. So we should adjust our lesson. We should adjust our lesson to the capability and needs of our students. So in art education, teachers can prepare activities with different levels of difficulty. So for example, in watercolor painting, level 1 students use oil pastel to outline their drawings. So first, the oil pastel acts as the barrier, making it easier to control the paint and preventing colors from spreading outside lines. So this is ideal for beginner first or students who need more support. So in level 2, students use only a pencil to create their own outlines. Since there is no oil pastel barrier, this requires better and hand control and more precision. So teachers can also make other modifications, so such as taping the paper to the table so it won't move while painting or using visual instruction card to remind students of each step in the activity. So the important thing to remember is the differentiation does not mean giving easier work. So it means providing the right amount of support to every learner can achieve the same learning goal according to their ability. This approach promotes confidence, participation, and success for all students, especially in inclusive classroom. So, ang differentiation kay di lang siya pasabot nga gatagan nimo sila og sayon nga buhatonon, but suportahan nimo ang mga estudyante at all cost kay para ma-promote ang ilang confidence, participation, and success for all students. So sa inana nga pamaagi ga promote sab kag og inclusive classroom environment. So the next level is the next slides is shows another example of differentiation. So this time in teaching students how to draw the human figure. So these lessons begin with simple and concrete shape before moving to more detailed drawing. So this helps students develop their drawing skills gradually. So in level 1, students use stencils or cut-off shapes. So this simple trace the shape, making the activity easier for beginner or students who need more guidance. So in level 2, students no longer trace a shape. Instead of they copy the cut-off shape while looking at them. So this helps improve observation skills and coordination and understanding of size proportion. So at level 3, students are expected to independently, most from memory, with very little assistance from the teacher. So at this stage, this apply everything they have learned from previous levels.
previous level. So every level can na jud say competencies. So ang imong himo na sa teacher kay imo ra jud silang i-guide unsaon pag unsaon nga ang lugwa is perfect nga outwork. So all of this strategies allows every students to reach the same learning competencies but through different method and level of support. So it recognizes that students learn at different paces, and as teacher our responsibility is to guide each learners according to their needs. So differentiation also ensures that no students is left behind. By providing appropriate support and gradually increasing the level of difficulty, we will help all learners build confidence, improve their skills, and enjoy the learning process. So ang differentiation, so ang tumong yun sa differentiation is maka-develop ta og kanang love for love maka-improve ta og confidence, makatabang ta nga ma-improve ilang confidence, ilang skills, and enjoy kung unsa man ang ginabuhat, kung unsa man ang ginabuhat. So in that way, kanang maka-gain sila og igong knowledge para they have love for what they do. So another is, so we move to other helpful strategies in managing the classroom: time management. So in this portion we will discuss one of the most important classroom management strategies, which is time management. So in making an artwork, time management is also important thing. Okay, kung paunsa nimo siya humanon, so these strategies kanang uh, will help us na matrack na to kung kanus sa mahuman, kung sa pagid atong mga buhaton nun. So art activities require time not only for creating artworks but also for preparing materials and cleaning up afterwards. So that is why teachers should plan realistic activities that can be completed within the available class time. So as teacher kay like for example sa DepEd kinahanglan 45 minutes nga time allocation para i-teach nimo ang imuhang topic sa mga estudyante. So from that na sa activity portion, i-make sure dyan yung mga imong activity pahimuon isa mahuman ra gyud sa within that certain time na gi-allocate apil na ang pag-prepare sa material o pag-cleaning after work. So that's why teachers should plan, if a project is too long, it is better to divide it into several sessions instead of rushing students. So para gyud ma-absorb nila ang learning, you as a teacher kay imo ra yung tagag pa maagi diri kay gi-suggest nga imong i-divide ang time, i-divide mo ang session kay para less pressure ang mga estudyante, mas ma-enjoy sila sa lang gibuhat pinagi na sila quality ang ilang learning na makuha. Another strategy is giving regular time reminders. So at the beginning of the class, the teacher should explain the time limit and provide countdown reminders such as 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and 5 minutes remaining. So in this way, this helps students stay focused and manage their time effectively. So you as a teacher, kay mo dyan silang i-guide. I-guide yun mo sila kay ba magdula-dula ra. So ikaw, bigyan ka nga 5 minutes, 15 minutes left. So in that way, kanang ma-achieve jud ang allocated time nga imong gi-prepare para lang ana nga activity. So teachers should also support slow-paced students. If students spend too much time trying to make every detail perfect, the teacher can offer encouragement, suggest simpler techniques, or provide brief assistance. So next is managing students' expectation through visual schedules. So now let's move to the managing students' expectation through visual schedule cards. So visual schedule cards have students understand the sequence of activities during the lesson. So instead of relying only on verbal instruction, students can easily see what they have already completed and what they need to do next. So So this strategy is also helpful for students with special education needs such as those with autism or ADHD because visual instruction are often easier to understand and reminded that spoken direction. So for visual learner, need jud ka og visual sab nga mga uh, visual cards para ma-indicate sa mga bata nga muna himuon, muna next, o musab ni ang last. So the schedule is usually arranged vertically whilst a step of each activities are shown horizontally. As students become confused, the learner can simply point the next instead of repeating along explanations. As you can see in this picture, so as you can see in this picture, this is an example of establishing expectation with visual. So as first, jud kay mo indicate nga drawing sa first, painting, finish, o clean up. So sa dire, kay una jud imong ipakita nga drawing sa kaya ang uban mo gud estudyante for example mga painting materials pag example ipakita nimo ang so ang nimo himuon diri kay una sa ipagawasan nimo ang mga drawing materials ato such as pen, pencils or mga papers dili sa nimo ipagawas ang painting materials kay pag ipagawas nimo mag-scatter ang mga bata kay ma-excited naman sila. So una gyud kay imo jud siyang i-indicate jud nimo nga first drawing tapos painting. So pag humani ng drawing, pagawas ni mga painting materials para drawing tapos painting para na ay step by step nga instruction para dili crowded or dili kanang samok sa sulod sa classroom. So next is designing the learning environment. So designing the learning environment is also important in teaching creative arts. So moving in the physical setup of the classroom, the way we arrange our space is fundamental to students' interaction and material sharing So first, Jude, kay i-position ni mo kaugalingon while you are teaching sa in front of the class ng visible ka o audible sa imong tingog para clear ang para clear, comprehend o concise ang imong instruction nga madawat sa mga estudyante. So first is a demo table. So teacher needs to demo table to put his or her materials. It is usually a long table where one side is for demo and the other side is for the materials. So it is important sa demo since you are showcasing or you are demonstrating or you are performing the activity nga ipahimo sa mga bata. So it is very important nga separate ang demo table o sa mga materials kaya para mas organize ang imuhang pag-teach, ang imuhang pag-perform o pag-demonstrate sa activity o sa artwork na imuhang ipahimo sa mga bata. So next is ang work area student setting arrangement. So students should have ample space, ideally a long table for waterproof should be used. Individual table and chair also okay, but can be sometimes hard to go around and guide individually. So it is better to work on the floor if you are painting, especially when sharing materials. So in the classroom, the tables and chairs should be placed in such a way that the children can move the back demo table with ease. So, di ba mga bata ang may especially grade 1 kay langas kayo kiat. So, instead of using table, why not sa floor na lang mo sila ipa-activity kay para kung sa table pa nimo napay mga hulog nga mga tapos mahulog ang mga watercolor sa mga crayons sa mga bali sa naay uban pang ay mga casualties. So instead of providing them a table ay ibutan nimo sa floor para kung dali nimo sila makita. So next is station. So this is also optional. So to make your art room more manageable, you can lay out the room with a this designated area, wash area, drying area, materials area, or work area, and art display area. So in order for you to have an organized art classroom environment, so you must suggested to make a station or designated areas para sa wash area, sa drying area, material area, work area, and display areas. In this way, organize o clean ang tawon ang mga classroom. So next is the unit 4, which is entitled Art Appreciation and Assessment. So sa A, Art Appreciation. So ang learning object outcomes niya first is practice visual literacy as a way to appreciate art by learning what to see and how to look at an artwork. So engage as in student discussion through analysis, interpretation, and reflection. So next is, or the last one is value and respect students' ideas, opinion, preferences, and methods through conversation and giving constructive feedback. So, according to Nathaniel West, so art is one life a richest offering for those who have the talent to create. There is appreciation. So this quote, no, it reminds us, or it serves us as a powerful reminder of our role as an educator. So while we focus heavily on the mechanism of our classroom layout, we use a visual schedule to use our students succeed, and the technology we use to make our demonstrations accessible. The ultimate goal is to nurture the appreciation of every child. So no, wala lagi na pulos ang kanang mga wala lagi na pulos ang mga classroom layout, ang mga technology nga imong gi-integrate sa imong art class kung dili ma-appreciate sa kabata. So ang imong goal is na ma-appreciate nila kung unsa ilang gihimo, kung unsa ilang nasabtan ana nga mga butang nga imong gi pahimo. So, whether our students are becoming artists themselves or simply learning to appreciate the beauty of creation, providing them with organized, inclusive, and thoughtful environment ensure that we're offering them the very best of our pedagogical effort. So, by allowing them to appreciate sa ilang gihimo, I think that is the very best pedagogical effort that we teachers should provide. So next is we go to the teaching approaches. Let's start with how we structure our art lessons for different age groups. So first, learners, for young learners, art should always connect to daily real life experiences. So of course, no, para sa mga young learners, mas effective or mas quality ang learning nga ilang madawas kung i-connect nimo ang imuhang art lesson sa ilang daily real life experiences. So when we let them listen to their classmates' ideas, even 5 years old, learn to accept feedback, handle criticism, and respect different opinion, it builds both creativity and good character. So next, for the older age 12 8 to 12, so we move to the more technical approach. So we teach them the elements of art and principle of design. So this like balance, composition, and color harmony, so they can understand how art works, not how to draw. We also use interdisciplinary learning, combining art with STEM and culture students with how connects the science, math, literature, and even our tradition like Philippine myths or local textile history. So dili kay murag complex na kay mag-integrate na ka sa STEM o sa social sciences. So this make arts meaningful and relevant. So next is the interpretation and reflection. So let's talk about interpretation and reflection. So this is where students understand the meaning behind their art. So after finishing their work, students do paired share activity. So this is more on assessment and evaluation. This is more on self assessment and evaluation. So this give everyone a chance to speak. This first describe what is their artwork, then explain how why and how they created it. So it is very important nga na kay self expression of self evaluation pag human sa ilang art kaya sila panahon nasa opportunity nga ma-express nila kung saan ibang pasabot sa ilang art. So reflections answer the question, why did I make this? How did I feel like making it? And it let make them interpret their own work and appreciate their own classmate created too. So ato silang ay pasa yalaw na to sila nga makasabot silang gihimo o i-share silang classmate kay makatabang na sa pag-appreciate sa ilang kagalingong hinimo. So to guide this, we use simple questions. So for example, why did you choose this art, that color? So why did you feel like mixing it? So as an educator who facilitate or who facilitate them, so yes, said natin is lang ang question. So why did you choose these colors? In that way, murag ma-challenge ng critical thinking. So students might answer, blue is my favorite and I use paint over the oil pastel to make a special effect. So we can also ask, what message do you want to share or what does this reminds you of? So this bring out their thoughts and feelings, and even if this is limited, we can let students take turns sharing through the whole semester. So everyone gets their moment to speak. And then the last one is talking prompts. So for our last part, for our talking prompts, these are guide questions teachers use to open deeper class discussion. So these questions come from Tab Method by Douglas and Wakit 2018. So instead of just asking, what did you draw? So we ask questions that encourage thinking and sharing. So one example is, who made an amazing discovery today? So this lets students share new techniques or ideas they learn while working. Another great question is, so who had a struggle today? Did you overcome it? If not, can anyone suggest a way to help? So this turns challenges into a learning opportunity. So it teaches students to help one another solve problem and see that mistakes are just part of creative process. So this prompts turn our class into safe space where students learn, share, and grow together, not just as artists but as a learner. So so to facilitate also to facilitate our students uh, on how to kanang pag-solve silang problema. So i-ask nila to sila kung sa ilang mga struggle. So in that way, kanang struggle ma-turn na siya into learning opportunity. So I think that would be all. Thank you for listening.